Hello my friends, it's your buddy Phil here, project management trainer and coach. Welcome to the PMP exam radio show. We had a brilliant question from a student today. Bassi is asking about the ITTOs, and I wanted to address this. When you read the content outline, there's no explicit mention of ITTOs. When you look at Agile, of course, there's no ITTOs. But when you talk to people who have taken the exam in the past, you hear a lot of mention of ITTOs. Well, the good news is the PMI will not test you in rote fashion for the ITTOs on the exam. However, the language of ITTOs could be in the predictive questions. What do I mean by this? So let's address what ITTOs are. ITTOs stands for inputs to a process, tools and techniques used in a process, and outputs from a process. There is a couple of places in the PMBOK guide that will help you get a good handle of these inputs, tools, and techniques and outputs. The first page is page 89. Look at page 89 and go through the laundry list of project management plan components. On page 89, on the left-hand side of the page, there are 19 things for you to review and get a high-level understanding of. Those are the project management plan components. The next part I would like you to take a look at is the right side of the page, and this is project documents. All manner of project documents, from risk registers to issue logs and so on. These are all project documents. Before your exam, I would recommend you go through page 89 and ask yourself, do I know what this is? Do I know what it's used for? Do I know what distinguishes it from other outputs or inputs from the same knowledge area? If you're able to distinguish them, there's no problem. But if you take a look at any and you feel, I don't know what this is, open up the glossary, read it up, close the gaps. It's that simple. So if you spent 1 hour going through page 89, looking to see what that input or output really is, it's going to help you. Okay? So that is one place in the PMBOK Guide 6th edition that I would recommend you look at, page 89. Okay? The next page I recommend that you look at starts on 686 to 694, thereabouts. This again should be used as a checklist. It contains all the tools, techniques used in the 6th edition. They are grouped in data order. In other words, you've got data representation, you've got data collection, you've got data analysis. The tools and techniques are broken out in these specific chunks. Again, spend another hour, go through the list. Do I know what this is? Do I know what this is used for? If the answer is yes, move on. And that's my advice to anyone who feels they don't know enough tools and techniques and inputs and outputs. Okay? Read through the laundry list of them all, and then you can make a conclusion as to what you do not know and open up the glossary and study it. If a term is used, such as product analysis, if you feel you don't know what it is, read it. And I challenge every student that is listening to this podcast, if there is a tool or a technique, an input or an output that you've read in the glossary, in the reference pages in the PMBOK guide, and you still feel, you know what, Phil, I don't know this, then I want you to send a message by putting a comment in the link below if you're watching on YouTube, or just send an email. I will be happy to explain to you whatever tool or technique you feel you are not clear on. Because for the most part, the definitions in the glossary, they will suffice for your exam. Spending 2 hours, in my opinion, should be enough for you to comb through everything and do some cross-referencing to find out what are those things you're not very clear on. Okay? When you have done that, it firms up your chances for success on the predictive side. Okay? Now, going a step further, talking about the people, the process, and the business domains, my advice to anyone taking the test from the Project Management Masterclass series is to look for the Immersion videos. They're right there. The Immersion videos are broken into people, process, and business. And Roy and I talk about every domain, every task in every domain from an agile perspective, and then from a predictive or hybrid perspective too. Look for those videos if you are on the Project Management Masterclass. We've heard from so many students that this was so helpful to them. Okay? Last but not least, to answer your question, Bassie, if you are reading the PM Essentials, that is a great one for you to read, and it will definitely give you more clarity. When you take the exam, just be ready to answer, what should the project manager do first? What should the project manager do next? But as far as ITTOs and them being tested in a rote fashion, no. They'll be part of the language, they'll be part of the dialogue, but you should not be expecting several questions merely based on the definitions of ITTOs. No. Just a few moments ago, I was reading from a student who is not one of our students, but out there on social media, and this student had taken the CAPM exam some months prior to the PMP, and this student was of the opinion that the CAPM in many respects was harder than the PMP because you needed to know things rote and you needed to know the definitions. Well, the good news, or depending on how much you studied, is your PMP exam is not like that. It is not going to test you in strict rotation on the inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs. Now, in closing, the mapping and the flow of ITTOs and processes and process groups, this is what I expect from any PM who has been through the PMP process. But again, your exam would not be made up of strict rote questions on process and ITTOs. Alright? I would recommend that you watch my video on YouTube. It's called The Agile Mindset for the PMP exam. Check it out. I think that will greatly help you. Also, look for my Domain Booster videos and MP3s on the podcast and on YouTube. You're likely to find these on pmradio.org. I have a domain booster for people, process, and business. Definitely listen to those, and you'll be good. Thank you very much for your question, and all the best in your prep and on the exam. You take care, and bye for now.
I'm scared of the PMP exam. It's going to hurt me.
Don't be ridiculous, boy. The exam can't hurt you if you've prepared well for it.
But I've heard horrible things from other people who've taken the test.
Well, what those people didn't tell you is they didn't prepare in the best way possible. They didn't consult with your friend Phil at Praizion meeting. My advice to you before the exam is to go on down to the website, Praizion.com, Praizion.com.
Do you mean Z-I-O-N?
Yes, Z-I-O-N, if you pronounce Z as Z. Go on down to Praizion.com.